Hello everyone, welcome back. Let's implement the product detail screen, create a new composable product detail screen. This composable has in parameter the state of type product state, and we want to hoist the method on toggle wishlist. We have already done this under Vue3. No wonder we're going to hoist this method in order to make our product detail screen previewable and not relying on the view model. And we need to access here the event or on event, and we want to access the authenticated user. As I've said before, when the component is ready, we will trigger the event load product. If the page is loading, we have to show the circular progress indicator. And for testing purposes, I've added test tag here in order to access this circular progress indicator under our end-to-end test. Next, we're going to show the screen. Now the screen is ready. We need to check first of all if you have an error. If we have an error, we're going to show a warning message. Otherwise, the content of our screen. For the content of the screen, it consists of a network carousel that we have implemented before, and the other detail, as well as the toggle button. I'm going to wrap everything within a colon, and because the product is nullable, we have to wrap everything within the letScope function. The first component that we have to add here, or have to put, is the network carousel. Let's assign the shape of this network carousel rectangle shape, the list of images to provide, and we want the original images. Is autoplay to true. It's not a good idea to put everything within a colon, but for the sake of simplicity, our application will be better presentable basically in the mobile. That's why I have done everything within a colon. I'm gonna fill the max width and the required height for this particular composable. We have implemented the screen size composable function. It's gonna take 70% of the screen size. For testing purposes, a content description, and I have to merge descendants. Basically going to make the whole thing as a one single composable. You have two options whether to add this strings resource file. I didn't do so. Instead, I'm going to add just a simple string, the products carousel, next to it the product title, the content scale, crop, and the test tag for this particular composable, products carousel tag. The next element, which is the title of the product, nothing substantial, just a normal text composable with primary color and the typography of title large. Next, we need to show the label price and its value. Therefore, we're going to use build annotated string. The first section should have a color primary and bold, and for the content is the label price. The content is simply we have to append this label to the annotated string. I'm gonna add here a small space. After this style, the normal text will be the label price or the price itself. The price value has a placeholder. The second argument basically is the product price as string, and we have defined that one previously under the core module. Let's come back to the product detail. We have to apply here the entire style for this text, body medium on background. Don't worry about those errors. I think this is a glitch under Android Studio. I'm just gonna add here a padding of 8 density pixels. The next composable that we have to add is basically the description, as well as how many products left in stock. I'm going to group this in one single column. I don't want to space those particular composables with 18 density pixels and the content of the description. For the style, we have to add a span style. If the product in stock, the color will be success color, otherwise error color. For the font weight, I'm gonna choose bold. If the product in stock, we're going to show the quantity, otherwise we're gonna show out of stock. Underneath with style, if the product in stock, we're going to append the label left in stock, otherwise we should show to the user out of stock. Now for the rest of the styling of this particular text, the typography body small, color scheme on background for the rest of the unstyled text section. The last composable here that we have to put, which is the toggle wishlist button. That has two states basically. If the product in wishlist is going to show heart minus plus remove from wishlist label, and the other way around heart plus and add to wishlist. I would like to add it here in components. I'm going to call it toggle wishlist button. This composable is very simple. First of all, we have to hoist the method on toggle wishlist, and we have a state which is in wishlist. We need to see if the product is in wishlist or not in order to show either icon heart plus or heart minus and the dedicated label. and a modifier for reusability. It consists of a button. The background of the button should be primary. The inside of the button consists of two items placed in horizontal sequence. The first one is an icon, and the second one is the text or the label. For the icon, in wishlist, we're going to show heart minus, otherwise heart plus. The content description for testing purposes with the same manner. If in wishlist, I'm going to add the label content description remove from wishlist, and for the other way, add to wishlist. For the color of this icon should be on primary. With the same logic, we're going to define the labels that should be displayed, and the composable is ready. As you can see here, nothing complicated. Come back to the product detail screen. Let's use the composable toggle wishlist button. The state of in wishlist from the authenticated user's wishlist on toggle wishlist, we'll pass the title and the ID. It's going to occupy 60% of the max width. Let's go ahead and write the preview for this composable. I have prepared it in advance. Let's see if we have any errors, because at this point I cannot tell if we have an error or not. Let's run the preview under the device. First things first, we're not going to be able to see the product because we have to make some changes in the preview. So no wonder we don't have nothing here, just the loading indicator. We should implement the event, and the event in question is load product. Stop the emulator. I'm going to declare here state variable. I need to define here the coroutine scope. Most likely, if we run this preview, it's going to fail. I have to provide here the event. Let's name this parameter event, when event, load product, and for the rest, we're not interested. In this particular case, I'm going to do scope and launch just to simulate the loading of a product. First of all, I'm going to set the page loading to true, a delay of, let's say, 1500 milliseconds. Afterward, it's page loading to false, and the product detail from the mock data, sunglasses, and data. And we have to change this to the state. Now let's run the preview. This is our detail screen. We have the carousel. We have the price, description. It looks good under a small screen. If you want to handle different screen sizes, you have basically to adjust the layout accordingly. It's not that hard, actually. Let's stop the preview. Under components, create a new composable. Call it search input. I don't know for sure if autocomplete has been implemented under Jetpack Compose or not. So it's going to be a wrapper around basic text field. We need the query and the search label, the two functions on search that's going to change the data or change the search query, as well as once clicking on the button, a magnify button, another function. Once clicking on the suggested products, we will navigate basically to the product detail screen, and we have to pass in parameter the ID of the product. We need here a focus manager and a modifier. After clicking on this particular text field, we're going to animate the size of the particular text field to match the behavior of Vue3 application. Is processing state, basically it's going to allow the progress indicator to be shown once the user is typing search query. We need the content description to access the clear button, as well as the text field itself and the search button. Basically the search button is the magnify icon button, and the list of the suggested products to be shown under the scrollable container, mimicking the appearance of a autocomplete text field. It's preferably to wrap everything within a box. Let's start with implementing the basic text field. The value is the query. On query change, we will do on search. It is a single line. I'm just interested in the color, the foreground color, which is on background. Let's customize the keyboard option. Instead of done or OK, I'm going to put the search label. Once clicking on this search label, we're going to navigate to the search results screen. And the search results screen, after clicking on this search, we're going to clear the focus and we're going to launch or to execute whatever we want inside the search method. I would like to add some padding, the start padding, and for the max width, it should be animated. As I said before, it's going to be tied to the animated property. I'm going to leave it empty for now. Text field should be clickable in order to trigger the animation. For the content description, it is the text field content description. I would like to customize the cursor brush. It should be primary, just for styling purposes. I'm going to call this parameter inner text field. What I want to put here, 3 elements. The first one is the content of the text field, the circular progress indicator, as well as the magnify icon button. Let's wrap everything within a row because it has to be represented under a horizontal sequence, I will put the label and the text field. In order to do so, I'm going to wrap everything within a box because I want the label to disappear after the user has typed, for example, a letter. In this case, the label should disappear, and the label basically is a normal text with body medium and on background. Next to it, it should be the inner text field. Let's wrap everything within a row. For the circular progress indicator, we need to show this particular composable under two conditions. If the query is not empty, and if it's processing, we'll show the circular progress indicator. If it's not processing, I'm gonna show the clear button, which is an icon button. The next composable is the search button, and again, it is an icon button. Now this is our text field. As I said before, underneath we have to put the scrollable container. Now we have to add another state, which is container should be displayed or not. Therefore, go ahead and create a new variable, call it's an internal state, is expanded. Let's come back to our basic text field. On value change, whenever we have a valid or a non-empty string, we need to show the container. Once clicking on the basic text field, we'll have to check if it's not already expanded and the query is not empty, we need to show the container or the scrollable container. And once clicking on the clearable button, we should assign is expanded to false. So under the icon here, after on clear query, we're going to do is expanded false. After clicking on the magnify icon, is expanded false. Let's fold basic text field. Underneath, I'm gonna add the if statement to check if it's expanded, and we have suggested products is not empty, and another check statement which is the query is not empty. So basically the whole section consists of a colon and it has to be scrollable. We'll have the max width of 75% of the max width, and the required height I'm gonna set, for example, 40% of the screen height. And the background should be surface. One important here to add, which is the Z index or Z index. Basically, it should be at the top of the text field in order to have the priority of the stack. And for testing purposes, I'm gonna add test tag in order to access this particular container. We're going to space all the suggestions with 10 density pixels. As we have done in Vue 3, we have to represent the suggestions under our usable components. I'm gonna call it search suggestions. Search products for each. Let's call the parameter product. Let's go ahead and implement this search suggestion item. It's going to be a composable under component. As we have done in Vue 3 application, we're going to just show the thumbnail, the title, the category, and we're going to hoist the method on click. Once clicking on this particular item, we will be navigating to the product detail screen. The network image, which is the thumbnail, and another colon representing the title and the category. Once clicking on the whole container, we're going to trigger the click action. Now for the first item, which is the network image, nothing substantial. The other part of the composable consists of a colon, which holds the text title or the product title and the category. That's all we have for the search suggestions. Let's use it under search input. Let's add semantics for testing purposes. Place here basically the content description suggested products, and we have to assign the product title to identify each item individually. So it's going to be very easy for us to access the items under our end-to-end testing. The context in order to access the string resource, and the string resource in question, which is content description, suggested products, and it has a placeholder. We're going to put the product title in the placeholder. The thumbnail, which is the thumbnail, and the title is product.title, the category as well. Once clicking on this particular product, we're going to hide basically the scrollable container, and we're gonna call on suggested products click, passing the product.id. And that's all we have for our search input. Now it's time to animate basically the search input because we're not done yet. Whenever the search input or the basic text field in focus, we're going to increase the width of the whole container or the whole basic text field. This way we're going to achieve the animation that we have done previously under Vue 3 application using CSS. Let's create here a variable, has focus. Initially it's false. As we have done before, we need to specify the target width. You can set this target width according to your liking. If it's focused, it's going to occupy 75% of the max width, otherwise 45% of the max width. Now let's create the animation. Animate float as state, the target value, which is the target width fraction. And that's all we have to do. Now we need to observe the focus change in the composable basic text field under the modifier. We can add here a function on focus event, and we can assign has focused to it and has focus. And for the fill max width as an argument, animated width fraction. And that's pretty much it for the animation. Now let's create a preview to see whether this search input has the desired animation. I have just prepared a preview in advance. Basically, I'm going to put the search input as expected under our layout. I'm going to create just a search query in order to assign the query. It's processing to simulate or to see the progress indicator. And speaking of which, let's come back to the progress indicator. I would like to change here the stroke width of the progress indicator, because I think by default it's a little bit thick here. I'm going to do here modifier or stroke width. Let's do initially 2.5 and see how it's gonna look like under the preview. And for the rest of the preview, it's very simple. The search input, providing the search query. The label is search. You can do here search in, for example, the query, and once type in, I'm going to simulate that there is a process or the request in progress. For the rest of the functions, we don't care about this. And the suggested products, we're going to filter basically according to the search query, and we have implemented, if you do remember, under the product mock data, this search function is going to filter basically the data and assign a new array. Let's come back to the search input. Let's run this particular preview. This is our search input. Let's do, for example, some typing. And the circular progress indicator, I think it's a little bit big. I'm gonna make it a little bit small here. Let's come back to the circular progress indicator. For the stroke width, I think it's acceptable. Let's do, for example, for the required size, 20 density pixels, and see how it's gonna look like. I think it looks good. Now we can clear the search input. And we have the container simulating the autocomplete. I think it looks good. Once clicking on this magnify icon, it's going to hide basically the container, but I don't think that the animation is working. I think I'm going to add another search input in order to see the animation. I'm just gonna add here a little bit of space because I cannot see the other text input. Let's click on the second one, which is way smaller than the first one. Click on search, and we have the animation. The animation is working fine, so text composable or search input autocomplete is great. So that's pretty much it for the composables or the components under the products feature. I'm gonna close the preview, and that's gonna wrap up our product feature ready to be used under the main layout of our application. For the next tutorial, we will test our view model in order to make sure that everything is working fine. It's gonna be basically an integration test. I hope you liked the video. See you in the next one, and happy coding.